World News in 5.
Right now.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes. World News in 5. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Good day, I am Peñano with today's World News in 5. The Israeli military launched heavy airstrikes on southern Lebanon Thursday, hours after ordering residents to evacuate several towns. Israel said the strikes targeted Hezbollah positions, accusing the group of rebuilding its military strength despite a ceasefire deal reached a year ago. Lebanon's health ministry reported one person killed and another wounded in the attacks, which sent thick plumes of smoke over the region. Israeli officials said the strikes were in defense of their borders and in line with efforts to enforce the ceasefire. But the United Nations peacekeeping mission in Lebanon condemned the bombings as violations of UN resolutions and called for an immediate halt to hostilities. Lebanese authorities also denounced the strikes as an attempt to destabilize the south, even as the army continues efforts to disarm Hezbollah. In our news, Typhoon Kalmegi slammed into Vietnam on Thursday, prompting mass evacuations and widespread disruption just days after devastating the Philippines. Packing winds of up to 149 kilometers per hour, Kalmegi tore off roofs, toppled trees, and churned up massive waves along Vietnam's central coast. Authorities shut down 6 airports, canceled hundreds of flights, and ordered residents to stay indoors. More than 260,000 people were evacuated in Gia Lai province, while over 268,000 soldiers were placed on standby for rescue operations. Officials warned of heavy flooding and potential crop damage, especially in the country's coffee-growing Central Highlands. In the coastal city of Yue, farmers already reeling from earlier floods fear another round of destruction. One farmer said the storm could bring their 4th flood this season and possibly the worst yet. Meanwhile, in New York, the United Nations Security Council has lifted sanctions on Syrian President Ahmed al-Sharaa and Interior Minister Anas Khattab, signaling what diplomats called a new era for Syria. The U.S. drafted resolution passed Thursday with 14 votes in favor and 1 abstention from China. It follows Washington's recent policy shift to ease sanctions on Damascus after the ouster of former President Bashar al-Assad late last year. U.S. Ambassador to the UN Mike Waltz said the move recognizes Syria's political transition since Assad's downfall. China abstained, citing unresolved security concerns, while Russia supported the measure, saying it reflects the aspirations of the Syrian people. Syria's envoy welcomed the decision, calling it a step toward rebuilding the nation after more than a decade of war. President Sharaa is expected to meet U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House on Monday. And in Mexico, authorities there have confirmed that a 17-year-old boy was behind the fatal shooting of Uruapan Mayor Carlos Manso during a public event in Michoacan over the weekend. The state prosecutor's office identified the suspect as Victor Manuel Ubaldo, who was killed by security forces at the scene. Forensic tests confirmed he fired the shots that killed the mayor. Prosecutor Carlos Torres said the attack was likely linked to organized crime, adding that Ubaldo had tested positive for methamphetamine use. Investigators believe others were involved in the plot, while Ubaldo's family said he had left home a week before the shooting. Experts warn that drug cartels in Mexico are increasingly recruiting minors, some as young as 6, through social media and video games, with up to 200,000 children at risk of exploitation. And that concludes today's edition of World News in 5. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, I am Peñano. Good day.
World News in 5.
Right now.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes. World News in 5. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.